Hey folks, Jackdaw here. Even more troubling developments are surfacing within BioWare and EA, raising more significant concerns about the future of the studio and the development of Dragon Age Dreadwolf, and even just the future of BioWare's IPs for that matter. First and foremost, unionized QA workers for Dragon Age Dreadwolf have been unexpectedly laid off, while simultaneously ex-Dragon Age developers are embroiled in a legal battle with BioWare over severance matters. Let's delve into the details of the layoffs first, then we'll make our way into this legal battle that all but showcases BioWare's current state in 2023. So, these layoffs with unionized Dragon Age Dreadwolf key workers. This was a story that we touched on last year and we praised its success, but unfortunately it has actually come to a quick twist. In late September, so literally just last week, Keyword Studios made a significant decision by terminating the contracts of its unionized QA workers as reported by Polygon. This move came on the heels of BioWare's choice in August not to renew its contract with them. These QA workers had originally been hired to support playtesting and quality assurance efforts at BioWare Edmonton. Their unanimous vote in June 2022 to join the United Food and Commercial Workers Canadian Union marked a historic moment as the first union in the Canadian gaming industry. Unfortunately, their negotiations with Keyword Studios were abruptly halted following BioWare's announcement of 50 job cuts within the studio. A UFCW representative revealed that 13 individuals, all connected to BioWare's support, were let go. Liz Corliss, the global head of marketing at Keyword Studios, confirmed these layoffs, attributing them to the completion of a fixed-term client contract. These layoffs took effect on September 27th, with Keyword Studios asserting that no additional job opportunities were available for these workers. UFCW has taken action by filing an employment standards complaint against Keyword Studios and is currently embroiled in a dispute over the unpaid severance package. Now, in the context of these layoffs, BioWare has informed us that Dragon Age Dreadwolf is currently in its alpha phase, you know, the most critical stage where QA testers play one of the most vital roles. However, laying off a bunch of these QA testers obviously creates a big challenge for the studio, as they now have a reduced workforce dedicated to this project. Like, you're telling us that Dreadwolf's in alpha, yet you are firing a bunch of the QA testers. How exactly is that gonna work? Additionally, these QA testing layoffs have raised concerns about the project's status. Notably, Dragon Age Dreadwolf has experienced an internal delay, yes, another one, pushing its original release date. If we recall back to recent leaks from the layoffs last month, Jeff Grubb reported that apparently Dragon Age Dreadwolf was originally targeted to release in September 2023, but it now has a new time frame between September 2024 and anytime really until spring 2025, could even be after that. This internal delay combined with further layoffs suggests the possibility of the project undergoing significant rework. Like, I really don't understand why you'd be sacking off a bunch of QA testers unless the project is undergoing some significant rework, maybe even going back to an earlier production stage, requiring additional work, taking itself away from that alpha stage. I really don't know, and I don't really want to speculate on the idea of people losing their jobs because of this. Either way, this suspicion is all in line with information shared by an actual QA gameplay tester who earlier this year, back in February, when we had that massive blowout Dragon Age Dreadwolf leak, well, besides showing us gameplay and offering us many details about the game, the tester also hinted at the likelihood of an internal delay, citing the absence of many core features and a resemblance to a previous multiplayer version of the game that needed to be nipped in the bud. It appears that those concerns have materialized, therefore backing up the original claim this internal tester made. And so, in light of these developments, it just raises questions about the direction BioWare is taking with its staff. Two massive projects in the works, the next Dragon Age and the next Mass Effect. One would expect the teams to be gearing up for a robust, fiery development process, but instead it feels like EA is systematically reducing the BioWare workforce, promoting many concerns and much speculation about the future of the studio and its projects, but I'm going to share more on those thoughts later on. Let's move on to the next story, which is separate enough, but it's still very much connected, because we're talking about ex-Dragon Age devs suing BioWare over denying them full severance. So really it kind of just tightly connects, because we're still talking about layovers and BioWare doing something pretty crap. So 7 former employees of BioWare have filed a lawsuit against the studio seeking fair compensation following their layoffs last month. And I shouted out a bunch of them in the last video we made, but we have many such positions, from lead technical foundation animation programmers to producers, writers, just a heap of massive talent and high-ranking roles were laid off from the studio, with it being approximately 50 employees, including Mary Kirby, a 17-year veteran of the studio, known for her vast contributions to the Dragon Age series, literally creating iconic characters like Varric and working on the Chant of Light and the Qunari. She's done so much, and yet even she was not safe from these layoffs. Well, Mary, along with 6 other laid-off developers, have alleged that BioWare and EA are attempting to provide them with insufficient severance packages. The lawsuit claims that BioWare only offered 2 weeks of severance per year of service, instead of the 1 month typically provided in similar labour cases. Additionally, it alleges that BioWare did not include the value of health benefits in the severance packages, further disadvantaging employees who had on average served the company for 14 years. Notably, EA reported over $400 billion in net income in August, a 23% increase from the previous year. BioWare's announcement of these layoffs back in August was so unclear, leaving many of us puzzled about why a studio actively developing Dragon Age Dreadwolf and planning the next Mass Effect game would cut such a significant number of developers, including those with extensive experience. Well, at the time, BioWare General Manager Gary McKay promised that the layoffs would be handled with empathy, respect, and clear communication. However, the lawyer representing the 7 laid-off employees, Alex Kennedy, stated that BioWare has refused to engage in negotiations for improved severance packages. Kennedy revealed that some laid-off employees were concerned that pursuing the severance owed to them by law could strain the studio financially and further jeopardize the already delayed development of Dreadwolf. One of the laid-off employees expressed their struggle to comprehend why BioWare was providing inadequate compensation during this challenging time. Initially, over 15 laid-off BioWare employees were part of the lawsuit, but many withdrew due to concerns about their financial stability. The existing severance packages, although meagre, provided some financial relief compared to a protracted legal battle. It may take about a month before BioWare and EA respond to these legal filings, and even longer before this case goes before a judge, especially if delay tactics are employed. Kennedy remains hopeful that BioWare will eventually opt for a settlement. Now, even more interestingly, the lawsuit highlights EA's proprietary games engine, Frostbite, as a crucial factor in determining the amount of severance owed to employees. Factors like age, years of service, and the ease of finding similar employment are considered under Canadian common law. Kennedy argues that BioWare's reliance on EA's in-house toolset, which has been criticised for issues in previous releases, could make it harder for these developers to find new jobs compared to those using third-party toolsets like Unreal Engine and Unity. Fundamentally, EA has not responded to any request for comment, and Mary Kirby has expressed gratitude to those who've reached out, acknowledging the bittersweet nature of her departure, as Dragon Age Dreadwolf is her final project with the Dragon Age series. Now, EA may not want to comment, but there's an interesting perspective from former Dragon Age writer Caitlin Sullivan Kelly, who wrote Murder by Death Mages in Dragon Age Tevinter Nights, a story that I believe revolves around Sidoni as she returns back home to Navarra. She's also one of the lead writers on SWTOR. Well, she pointed out, quote, "Also, it's funny, the current leadership team at BioWare is getting so much flack. Crap rolls downhill. These decisions are more than likely being made due to screw-ups of the previous regime, who is still adored very publicly by fans because of his involvement in past BioWare projects." Now, I ain't gonna make any accusations because this could be about anyone, but could there be some accountability resting with maybe a specific creative director who unexpectedly parted ways with BioWare and EA in late 2021 following a mutual agreement? Is it some very much prolific general manager who came back to the studio, left, and then came back again to only leave again? Again, don't want to make any accusations, just this very much particularly raises suspicion, and it seems like a topic that is going to warrant a thorough investigative journalistic piece about the ins and outs of Dragon Age Dreadwolf's development and BioWare, perhaps in 2025 with someone like Jason Schreier. It definitely gives us a clearer picture though of the recent years at BioWare, its leadership team, and just shit going downhill. We've just seen there Gary McKay saying that BioWare are working to be empathetic and respectful with clear communication towards the layoffs. Yet their legal team is doing the exact opposite. So really, what are you actually doing? Stop saving face and just do what you say you're going to do. Turning back to the topic of layoffs and the absence of severance packages, it's disheartening to consider that not only did many developers face layoffs because of EA's current current restructuring, despite them operating from a position of strength. But BioWare and EA also appear to withhold both ethical and financial support for these developers who have played pivotal roles in shaping their flagship franchises. And I think at BioWare currently, it just seems like even if talented individuals choose to remain within the studio during critical phases, you can just rely on EA's leadership to swiftly remove them. These are the very individuals who, despite facing adversity and ongoing changes in development and many other colleagues leaving, they've displayed unwavering dedication to the development of Dreadwolf, and even just steadfast stubbornness to work at BioWare, to show that the studio still has something to offer. And yet, shockingly, the few who do remain find themselves terminated without receiving even the full severance that they rightfully deserve. It's perplexing and absolutely frustrating to say the least. It just appears as though BioWare is undergoing a gradual reduction in its workforce. This includes the removal of QA testers precisely when Dreadwolf is reportedly in its alpha phase. Additionally, the termination of essential personnel, some of whom have dedicated over 17 years to the studio, raises questions about the future of not only Mass Effect, but, you know, the upcoming Dragon Age titles after Dreadwolf. Is that even going to be even the case anymore? It's definitely not something that I even want to consider, because just the notion of that, would a Dragon Age 5 even capture the true essence of a Dragon Age game, given the substantial exodus of staff who've left the studio? Ultimately, the current working conditions at BioWare don't appear to be particularly favourable. Former developers aren't getting the severance they deserve, layoffs are happening sporadically, and the current teams within the studio are living with the constant fear of facing this same exact situation, and that must absolutely be flipping frightening. I'm hopeful Dreadwolf is going to be a fantastic game, but BioWare's identity is changing right in front of us, and it currently is going through a rocky journey. I'm going to end this right here, but do let me know if you see a light at the end of this very dark tunnel. What are your thoughts on the ongoing tumultuous development of Dreadwolf and the state of BioWare in 2023? I've been Jackdaw, and of course, until the next Dragon Age update, I should go. Whoa.